Alright, let's see how many purists I can piss off. You see that, so you know what that means. Got a fuel pump that I need to replace. Let's see what happens. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove my fuel filter down below. Hopefully we don't catch anything on fire. Gotta find that fire extinguisher. Oh, there it is. Well, that was uneventful. That's a good thing. So now, next I gotta do is figure out which was going to be my fuel. I guess there's 4 lines. One being fuel supply, one's being fuel return. There's a vent somewhere's in here, and there's a another line that goes back to the engine where it gets recirced and sucked back in for emissions, or evaporator line or something like that. Either way, the vent and that evap, I think the evap, well, I know for a fact I've already cut that evap line down there around the axle, so I've cut it. So I'll just find it up here and probably cut it as well, make it easier for removal. The supply and return, I'm going to end up having to, hopefully, my little 6AN compression fittings fit in between the line and the top of the tank here. I'll make it fit. Alright, so this is what we got. Finally got it out. Couldn't quite get all the way through that fourth line up here. I tried tweaking it back and forth to break it loose, but I couldn't get it to break free, so that's the reason you see where I mangled this with a set of cutters. So I'm gonna make a clean cut right here now that I got it out. That's where I can go ahead and install my compression fitting. So went underneath, verified. This is going to be my fuel feed. The one right next to it should be my return. The big one here on the end is the vent, and that's the that emissions thing, evap, whatever. I don't know what it is, but that's the one that I'm just going to pretty much probably abandon right where it's at. I might see if I can twist it down at the end there. We'll see. But actually this one and this one I'll probably just hook a rubber hose up to it. This one right here, the feed and the return, that's where I actually got fittings for. I got some of these 6AM female adapter, yeah, 5/16 tube female adapter. So 5/16 and 3/8, those are the two sizes for these tubings. Now that I get it out, you can actually probably follow these lines out and see what they are. Obviously that's going to be my fuel supply. This one right here, the one right next to it looks like, yeah, it just dumps right back down here at the bottom. So that's your return. This takes your vapors. That's just another, that's what I'm calling the emission line, whatever. And the one right next to it you see is the vent. So easy enough to identify now that you get it tore apart. I just wanted to make sure. Here's the fuel pump I got. It is a Walbro 400. It's supposed to be a Walbro 400, so we'll see. Let's see what we can do. Alright, I think the battery died during my little time lapse there, but I think I got it all done. This is where I ended up putting the hose clamp to try to get it a little more secure. I kept that rubber insulator right here. I'm still half debating on whether I should move this clamp to here. You can see there's I got a big old gap in there between that base, but one reason for that is it seemed like, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that filter is right there on the edge of, it looks like I got this little sock slash filter seated pretty well, so I think I'm gonna let it ride like that. It sits up a little bit taller, but the only concern I have is, here's my return line. It's gonna be blown right onto my sock, so I don't fully understand the purpose of that, but we'll see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't cause aeration. I actually even thought about putting a couple little slices or something in up here. Well, hell, for that matter, I was thinking about I'm just now thinking about just cutting it right here, but it's kind of a support for all this. So if I just cut like a big old V, maybe if I cut a big V right there, that way it still maintains some support for my float. Another thing, the instructions I've read a couple times says ensure you use 14 to 16 gauge wire. All the YouTube videos I see say use 12 gauge wire. The wires that they supply appear to be pretty small. I'm gonna say they're probably 16 gauge. Okay, so the one on the left is 14 gauge, so looks like they do have 14 gauge. I don't know if this is going to focus. Here's a comparison to 12 gauge. I don't know if I can make it focus or not, but so that's 12 gauge. It is a little bit bigger. So anyways, I'm debating on just cutting, splicing 12 gauge, running it. Gonna have to drill a separate hole right here. I'm gonna have to go to Harbor Freight or somewhere and get me some grommets. Get a small grommet right here. Maybe use some silicone after the fact just to make sure I'm sealed up tight. And then this kit I bought also came with another weather pack. So I might try, if I can get the 12 gauge out to right here, give me a little pigtail, and then add another little connector right here. That way I can run 12 gauge all the way to wherever I keep my relay. I ain't decided if I'm putting the relay in the trunk yet or if I'm going to put it all the way up front. So something else I found. This is the original little connector that you'll find just outside the tank. If you look real close, you can see each and every one of these insulations are wore on these wires. Evidently that's where it was rubbing up against the frame and or the gas tank. So I'm gonna have to do some repairs on this. Odds are I'm just gonna try to slide some I'll probably make another joint right here. That way I can slide heat shrink. So anyways, I got repairs to make there as well. I'm going to end up abandoning this gray one. This gray one, you can see I cut it. That went to the original pump. The black wire is soldered as a ground, and the other black wire, it had a dual joint right here. The other black wire went to the pump as well. So I have a black and white coming out. The existing wires, all I'll need to keep is this black for the ground and the purple for the level, and this gray is going to be just abandoned. Alright, it's been about a week since last I was tackling this fuel pump. You see here I went ahead and got the joint soldered up. I do have a number 12 wire. I just use at least for the red. Black I just use a smaller 14 gauge. It's a ground. Not a lot of amperage flow on it, if any. So I drilled out the top of this fuel cap or fuel head, whatever you call it. Threw old Harbor Freight grommet in there. This is what took me so long. I needed to get a decent soldering iron to do some soldering. Ended up picking this up right here. Definitely gets a lot hotter than them little electric ones I had. Put 2 layers of heat shrink on these wires for try to mask the blobs of solder job that I did. I kind of solder like I weld. Bigger the glob, better the job. But zip tied the wires out of the way, so it's not going to, hopefully should not affect my fuel sender, little float. Let me clean this up, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install, this came with that kit, install another quick disconnect, or a little plug right here, a little sealed connector.